Guys, Chimaev is one away, right? Chimaev is one win away from fighting for the championship. Another way to say it, whatever Chimaev does next is a number one contenders fight, comma, right? Question mark, right? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking you guys. I am a little bit surprised on the lack of clarity that we have with Chimaev. Moreover, I'm surprised to find out that Chimaev himself has a lack of clarity. There was a rumor that pops up it's going to be Chimaev versus Nate Diaz. Now, I got a little inside scoop for you guys, which is Diaz has accepted a fight. Diaz has a fight coming up. I got to stop right there. I don't know who the opponent is, though, and I'm not holding that from you. And we know that Chimaev and Nate have been associated for a period of time. So would that still make the first statement that I just said true? Would that make it true? Can Chimaev have a number one contenders fight going into that match? Or does he need somebody more along the lines of Belal Muhammad, who is the opponent that I think most of us guessed? I'm not announcing for you guys that it's Diaz versus Chimaev. I'm sharing some insights. Diaz has a fight. That I'm sharing with you guys. Is it Chimaev? And if it is Chimaev, does it make it a number one contenders fight? I mean, do you see where things change? And Chimaev himself, who called out Pereira, I don't personally believe or remember Chimaev having any kind of heat, any kind of backstory with Pereira. I believe when Chimaev called him out, it was because he understood it's one step away from a championship match who would be with Adesanya. I mean, Pereira and Adesanya fought that night. Why did Chimaev not just call out Adesanya? Well, my guess is he's crystal clear on the idea that he's not going to be walking into a title fight next, no matter how much he wants it. No matter how much of an argument he could make, and the world has seen that he has the skills to go deal with it, he's just not going to get it. So we call out Pierre because it's the next best thing, because it's the number one contenders match. Am I reading too much into this? Maybe. Damn right I might be, but it's all that I have. Right? I'm like an accountant. I'm only good as the information that you give me. So what if he did that at 170 pounds? And I will tell you, I've always argued that Chimaev should be 185. We've seen it at 85 a couple of times. We've seen it at 70. Three times. It's pretty even. I like him at 85 because I also understand he's a young man, and I understand with time the human body likes to grow a little bit. I understand that you can have more fun just living life and training and preparing when you don't have to beat that scale to such a significant degree. So that was just Chael's suggestion. Now, I don't want to get in a back and forth with you guys of who is he more likely to beat with his skill set. What is the more likely win? Because they're polarizingly opposite, Kamaru Usman and Adesanya. But we can also all admit that historically speaking, strong grappling has done better against strong striking. Is that the better path for him? Is that the more realistic path for him? And if you conclude, like I have, that yes, it is. Yes, it is. 185 is better for him. If we all come to that conclusion, do we even have a choice? Or is he being forced down here at 170? And I will be interested when I do get the rest of the story on the Nate Diaz piece. Who Nate is preparing for is interesting, because if that goes to Chimaev, then you got a big question. What's next with Belal? If he's not, and I'm talking Diaz, scheduling and training and getting ready for Chimaev, then why is the announcement of Belal and Chimaev not back on? Where is Colby Covington? What is George Masvidal doing? I think for a period of time, we all just decided that while Colby and Masvidal have this business, this thing, whatever that thing is, while they have this thing that they're going to be off, but we heard an announcement from the UFC that said no, that would not preclude them from having a fight booked. And those guys have been a little bit more quiet than usual. You got to bring Colby into this talk, guys. There is nobody within our sport that is more obviously a number one contender than Colby Covington. But he's put in a really tough spot because he won't be able to fight for the championship next. He won't be able to do what every other number one contender is able to do. So then I think that you have a real meaningful talk about what's next for Colby and why does he want to do it. If anybody beats Colby, I think that we would all agree they should be the number one contender. But if we're not going to do that same thing for Covington, makes it hard to bring to the audience. I don't despise the idea of Colby going up to 85. Using that number one contendership. Golden ticket, if you will. taking it up to 185. It just appears that now 185 is all booked up. And you'll notice that when Pereira got called out over the weekend by Chimaev, that thing died. Pereira never responded to that, and there was never a need to respond to that. Chimaev took his shot. He thought, maybe there's an opportunity here. Maybe I can slip in. Maybe they won't make that fight. Nobody else wants to deal with this guy. I'll be the one. There was some real opportunity. I love Chimaev's call-out. I also understand the idea of why Pereira just dismissed it, and most of you have even forgotten about it until I just remind you right now. It wasn't the call-out or the chance to see Pereira versus Chimaev. That's not what's got you slobbering at the mouth. That wasn't the big deal there. It was that Chimaev is making it obvious for us, the audience, that he does not have an inside track within his own career. He does not have some big match coming up that just hasn't been announced. He's open. He doesn't want to be open. He wants to be busy. And you take one guy off the board. You go make one match. It gives us clues for the whole division. I don't think there's a more obvious fight to make than Belal Muhammad versus Chimaev. I don't think that there is. But I also can't separate the rumor of Nate Diaz versus Chimaev. I just can't get rid of that. And if you want to remove from Chimaev from that, you could put Belal Muhammad in versus Nate Diaz. Like, a lot of these make a lot of sense. Something is going on. Colby and Jorge haven't weighed in for a period of time. Dustin Poirier looks like he's not going to come to the division. He's going to stay down at 155. In fact, he's even trying to do some business with Michael Chandler. But if we could just take one of those, of all this speculation I have, if we could just get one of those pieces together, we'd have a lot better indication what you're going to do with the rest of the guys. And as far as the call out between Chimaev and Pereira, sure, it went nowhere. But it did give us a clue to the idea that Chimaev does not have his next fight booked just yet.